All right, let's continue on here and style our unordered list and these list items. So the next thing I do is I look at specifically these links, right? I kind of look at what's the easiest thing I can look at that looks bad that I can quickly style and start to see this thing come into the design that we're wanting. Geez, sorry, I don't know why it's so hard to say that. I'm trying to think of how I go about this and explain it at the same time. But anyway, so let's look at these links. So first thing we notice, there's no color, and they've got these underlines on them, and that's kind of the default that they get. So let's begin to style those. So the first thing that we need to do, and again, I know that you don't know any of these CSS things, but that's how we're going to learn them, right? Is by looking at it together, and then we can explain them more in depth. So we have what's called text decoration. And what we want to do is set that to none. And then that will take away those underlying links, right? So what I'm planning on doing is creating a separate series of videos that we can go and cover each one of these CSS properties one by one. But for this series, I just wanted to kind of get into how do we make our layouts, our page, and start to actually build something. So we'll go more in depth in these types of things. So we've got that. Now, the next thing I noticed, the color, right? I'm not sure what color we're going to do, but right now we'll probably have like a background color and then and then a text color. So we have a regular color here, and I want this to match. So we had this white, so I could even add this class here to each one. In this case, I'm just going to grab this for now. We'll talk about how to make that better. So now that's obviously hard to see and read against that background color we have. So let's put a background color specifically on this. And since these are going to be like our buttons, I want to make those more red, more of like our call to action. Okay, that's starting to look all right, but not the greatest. Man, a few things. I know we need to do something about this font, but let's look at maybe getting these aligned and then add some padding here. So one thing I know we need to do is we need to set these to display block. Of course, make it go full width, but we'll fix that in the next part. So let's do that now. So what we want to do, we want to take our list here, and instead of the list, like a normal list goes vertical, right? So we have all these as an item, but we want our list to actually go horizontal. So how can we do that? And one quick way to do that is we can do display flex. That'll just take them all, and now they're going horizontal like that. That's one fast way to do it, and that's usually the way I like to kind of align our items and such. So what else would I do here? Well, one thing I know I would do is I want spacing between each one of these. So I need to figure out a way to add that spacing. So let's do this. All right, so what is this trickery that I've got going on here? So what I'm saying is take all of our list items and all of them except not the very last one. Okay, so select them all, but do not select the last one. So what does that do? Well, I'm adding margin right. So it adds margin right on all of them except for the last one. So pretty clever little trick. Rather than writing some other class that has like margin 0 and applying it here, that's one way to do it. This just does it all in one line and makes it really nice. So, and I might want this spaced a little bit more apart. Now we don't have any gap here, so we could go up here to our grid. And let's just put a gap of maybe 30 pixels. Okay, so that applies the gap there. Now we've kind of got our nav. So now I want to get, let's add some more padding here to our links. No, off the top. Usually this is how I kind of do it, right? You just start playing with the padding. One thing to note is this text has got to go. We've got to find some different type of text for our site. And I don't know that we added anything other than our crazy font. So I can do that in another video, but that's something I'll definitely be changing. So now they're there, but they're not, it's not quite aligned. How can we align that so it makes it nice and even? And one thing we can do, since we've already got our grid, we can just set our alignment right here. So we can say align items and center. Very, very clean. In the past, what you do, or what people have done, is they maybe add a margin, on the top here. But then it's like, well, how much margin do I need to add? So you do all these calculations, and then you end up changing the padding on these links, right? And then that changes your margin because now the margin doesn't match, so it just creates this big mess. So having this grid and flex box to align things vertically has really, really improved a lot of the stuff. So it makes it nice, and I like it a lot. So I don't know what the best is, and it's hard to know. I were to kind of shrink this down so I could see what we're working with. Yeah, now this is the part where usually a designer will already have a design for it, but since we're kind of designing as we're programming, those are kind of some of the things you got to play with. So what else could we do? Well, if we didn't want all of our links right up here, but we wanted those more centered, or we wanted them aligned towards the end, we could just say here, justify self end. So that's something we could do. We could also center it, the remaining that we have. So there's a couple different options. I'll leave it up to you. How many links do you have? Well, what looks best? Maybe we'll do this to start. We don't have too many links, so let's do this. Justify self end. Again, we'll explain more of these in depth when we go through those types of CSS properties. So that looks pretty good. One last thing, again, want to try to keep these videos short. We don't have any indicator here when we're hovering over these items. So what's something we can do? So one thing we would do is say when we focus this item, or when we hover over this item, I want to change the background color here to this black that we've got. See what that does. Okay, and what does the focus do? Specifically, I'm going to click over here, so I'm not on any element, and then I'm going to tab. We can see we tabbed here to our link. Okay, and then we can shift tab to go back. So that's what the focus does, and that helps with accessibility. So when someone isn't using a mouse, they can still see what link they're on. So that's really important. And we'll cover how the focus, hover, and all those things, and some cool things to remember that. So that's it for this lesson. So we've kind of got our nav in place. We learned about some alignment. We'll adjust that font. I'll pick a different font and show you what I end up doing. And then we'll go from here. We'll start to build out a little bit more things. And then hit me up in the comments if you have any questions or something else in particular that you'd like me to go over and cover, because I'd be happy to do that. Alrighty, okay, we'll catch you in the next one.